This me right here. What's up? Shout out to Batman with a V. Batman. This one is called PTSD. Can you dig it? Happy Sunday. It's what, June 28th? I have my sincere apologies to everybody in Los Angeles County, to everyone in California, the state. They don't really hesitate to hate on you. Think about the things that you need: money, water, nutrients, I don't know, fulfillment, oxygen. Man, I go all around the blocks again. I go around in circles. That's just what I do, like the Olympics is 5 concentric. Oh, I guess they gonna have to reschedule that shit. How you gonna social distance if you run a relay race? Lolo Jones can't keep up the pace. What up? Freestyle Fresh, I'm back. I was talking in a very calm, measured tone with my spouse as we were discussing a heavy topic. But hey, I'm in the car, I'm in the van. Gotta go fix this tire pressure, gotta gas up, prepare for the week, handle some last minute things. What's on y'all mind? Did I tell y'all? So last time we talked, it was about the fireworks. I kept a log for a couple of days, noting the time, the patterns, the sound, the sights, if visible. See, last night was Saturday night. Didn't stop till 3 a.m. During the weeks, tends to stop closer to 2 a.m. Anyway, fascinating. I got some interesting feedback on that. Quick reminder, I am in the Antelope Valley. We're Palmdale, California. Lancaster, California. I heard Chop and Chaz. The autonomous zone in Seattle is coming to a close. But hey, there are people buying fireworks. Hey, it's open now. Now it's open. Now the fireworks are open. That's the first one I've seen. Anyway, so there's more riots and protests, peaceful, violent, all of the above, still happening. I don't really watch the mainstream news, but I'm told that it is not being covered. Interesting. I listened to the Dark Horse podcast with Brett Weinstein and Dr. Hein, episode 26, the live stream and the Q&A yesterday. Great stuff as always. That sanity, that twice a week, that dose, PhD, expertise, and just dispassionate synthesis of the data. I love it. The journalist inside of me rejoices. So that song, that beat, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. George Carlin, one of my favorite comedians, he had this bit about how language has been, I think they took the teeth out of language. They are all part of the political correctness movement. And it's interesting that he had his finger on the pulse of that way back when. I mean, dude, sorry about that. The dude has been around for a minute, so he got to see that. And he kind of predicted what's going on now. The pussification of the American people. We can't handle. What did he say? He said, soldiers would go overseas in war and they would come back and they would be messed up in the head. And they called it shell shots, right? A shell, mortar, large bullet, bomb, right? A shell, a round. Shell shock. So you can imagine, think about a sonic boom. Boom! You can hear it, you can feel the vibrations. The fireworks has been going on, or the loud booms at night. Sometimes they're so close and powerful I can feel the vibration through the window, through the wall. Skeet, skeet, skeet. And then over time, it went from shell-shocked to post-traumatic stress syndrome, post-traumatic, whatever. Trauma, the trauma within, the traumaticness. Oh boy, it's tough, man. It's tricky. It's a lot. It's a lot going on. Can I turn right here? Y'all got this shit blocked off? I gotta go around the long way? What's good? I probably could have went that way. I'm sure. It's all good though. That just means that you and I needed to talk for a moment. Always read the signs. Always follow your gut. Did y'all know that I'm black? That I'm considered black by the would-be, what do you call them? What do you call the people that like to put everything into a nice, neat box and categorize and label people? Well, those people, they would call me black. Brown skin. I am mixed race, so they say. Even though I disagree with that premise. It's a human race. And we just happen to be different colors. That's what some people say, too. Shout out to Jane Elliott. I was listening to a 5-minute clip of her talking. Regarding my identity, I know we've talked about this way back when, but I grew up in a conservative area in Southern California, Ventura County. Shout out, Conejo Valley, what's good? And so 1%. I was part of the 1%. Hey, shout out to all the people that like to make bad puns and dad jokes. I do. 1% of the black, African American, Negro, minority population. That's it, 1%. So it was all white folks. And my family, big family, mostly black folks. So it was always had to be the representative, always had to be explain to my white friends and classmates, what's this black thing about? Can I touch your hair? Why are your lips so big? Why are you ugly? I had to answer that. Or I was posed this question as a youngster. And I'd be hanging out with my family, my black family, and they'd be like, why do you speak so properly? They would call me high yellow, light skin. It's a derogatory term. If you're in the culture, then you know that. Kobe Bean Bryant, KB24, rest in power, the greatest to ever do it. He would say things like, don't drive the lane, don't go to the hoop with that light skin energy. You gotta have that dark skin energy. I'm saying that because that's the stereotype, right? In the black community, where people are very they're much darker than myself. That was a pervasive, and I guess in today's woke culture, it would be triggering and offensive to imply that because my skin is lighter, that I've got less aggression, virility, confidence. I don't know what you call it. And then, as we all know, once Rick Fox left the Lakers, the light skin constituency really took a hit. But yeah, I've always been sort of in the gray area, if you will. Black and white makes what? Makes gray. But I've never really had a home in that regard. So I'm very comfortable just by virtue of my life experiences and how it was raised, not having a home. You know, I'm very comfortable in solitude. I'm very comfortable on my own. I don't need people. What's that to figure out if you're an introvert or extrovert? Extroverts, I guess, they get energy from being around people. An introvert will spend energy being around people, and you got to recharge alone. So I definitely have that. But I can play an extrovert very well, situationally so. And you know, as we attempt to navigate this very tumultuous time in history, it's a election year. We got the police brutality issue. We have the protests. We have the riots. We have the widespread confusion. We have this ominous pandemic that is so many unknowns. You know, people are trying to figure out if it was on purpose or on accident. Same concept that I'm trying to get across to my 4-year-old at the moment, and we can't even figure that out. It's really discouraging to think about how we got here. It's really discouraging to think how we're going to get out of this, if at all. And I love the Dark Horse podcast for many, many reasons. I love it as a jumping off point, as a starting point to have these series of successful conversations that Sam Harris implored us to engage in. I want to call them difficult conversations. That's how my mind wants to remember it. I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but successful conversations. And when you watch the Dark Horse podcast and you're with somebody that you care about, you can pause it and you can talk about some things that they brought up. So they were talking about education. These are PhD professors in exile, so they call themselves based on their time at Evergreen University in Oregon. My wife, my spouse, is in education, and I don't know if you've heard this term, the ivory tower of education. I might be mixing two different things, but Brett and Heather identified part of the problem, part of the systemic issue at the core of what's going on here is that education, it's been, you know, it's more obvious in the university setting. They were talking about schools of education, so teaching teachers how to teach students. And unfortunately, based on their observation, it is a lot of indoctrination, and it is starting to rear its ugly head because the students that were young enough to catch this first wave of indoctrination is now in college, is now in the world, smashing windows and what have you. And something to take a look at. It's something, you know, we're talking about reimagining education. Mr. Cuomo tweeted that out a couple weeks ago. Him and Mr. Billy Gates are going to be reimagining education for New York. That's terrifying. I got some information about how California public schools are going to be proceeding in the fall. And it's so deep. Everything is connected. I was talking to my good friend, and he was saying, I asked him, you know, what happened? What went wrong? Where, if you had to point to a single event, what happened? How did we get here? And his answer was actually quite insightful, and I really, really appreciated it. And I've been thinking about it. He said it goes back to ancient Greece and or Rome. And he said at some point, philosophy turned into politics, or politics ate philosophy or something. There was a conflation of the two, and to the point where knowledge and the correct way to live became behind a paywall. The game is to be sold, not to be told, to put that in a colloquialism that might resonate with you. And I thought that was quite fascinating. Everything's for sale, even a soul. Somebody get God on the phone. I gotta go. I wish I had time to finish this thought, but I really don't. But yeah, I got some things in the works. I got some educational products that I'm developing. I've got some information dissemination plans that I'm working on behind the scenes. I'm feverishly working. Not waiting for a stimulus. I'm waiting to be stimulated. Can you dig it? Can you dig it? I like to be faded, but I like the sound in the car. I'm talking about being engaged with other states of consciousness, altered states, in fact. Everybody got an operating system. Are you on Windows 95 or are you on Sierra? That's an iOS. I like to get down, get busy, but not busy work. I'm in the middle of trying to get to a milli. What? Guess I gotta change my goal. Inflation about to be a bear. California golden bears over here. Blue, red, black, white. Everything's a little gray. Stop shouting. Just for a friendly reminder. The bat. The commemorative bat quarter. Remember Fauci? Remember the Wuhan? Remember the wet market? Where they wanted us to believe that the SARS-CoV-2 originated from. Remember that? Seems like old news, doesn't it? Seems like last year, doesn't it? Fascinating, isn't it? Did you know that China's official position now is that the virus could not have come from the wet market? Did you know that? That's their official position now. And I look at that like how a newspaper can publish something that is false, get millions of views, later print a retraction and get a few thousand views. You can't unring a bell, people. You can't unring a bell. So either they lied, either they were confused, either they wanted it to be misconstrued. I don't know. I wasn't there. Pay attention. Ask questions. Don't be lazy. You can't afford to be lazy right now. Intellectually, physically, spiritually. Keep fighting. And remember, like I always say, give your body, give your mind, your soul, your spirit, your family, your community, the things that it needs to fight the disease. Peace and love.